Welcome to the Culture and Clarity Podcast, where two Caribbean-born therapists unpack life, identity, and mental health across cultures.
So here we are, guys. Second episode of Culture and Clarity. Yes, second episode. Can you believe it? I cannot believe we are here already. I mean, after we've had so many discussions.
Oh, my goodness.
At dinner, right? Having so many sips of wine about, hey.
Conversation after conversation.
Like, how are we so unique as a people?
I'm telling you. How are we so similar but yet so different?
Correct.
But yes.
Correct.
We have shared so much in common, but being from two different countries.
It's true.
Right?
But I think, within the culture itself, there are just some commonalities that we just cannot ignore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are just some things that we really need to address
Absolutely.
that we don't address.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's definitely needed. And so I'm grateful that we're doing this.
Yes.
I really think that it is necessary. I think the feedback is wonderful, right?
We love it.
Yes. So again, second episode, here we are, where we are grounded in culture and growing in clarity.
Hello.
Right?
Hello.
So, anywho, I am proud of you for doing this, ma'am.
Same.
Right?
Stop. Wait, what's the young people saying now?
They do now. Yes. Because it takes a special kind of courage to say, hey, listen, we can do this.
Yeah, man.
And not have to feel like, hey, we're going to feel the wrath from some. Because there will be some topics, let's be honest, that may not be so comfortable.
So true.
Right? But I think we do need to talk about some of these things because they're just kind of sitting in silence and it doesn't help.
Yeah.
It doesn't help, right?
You're right.
So I love the fact that, again, we met when we used to work at the hospital years ago. I can't believe, seriously, how many years that's been.
It's definitely more than, it has to be at least 15.
It has to be because my son is 23.
Yeah, has to be.
Right?
At least 15.
And I think you were there when I was pregnant with Jariah.
I believe
right?
Or
so
you just
20.
had her. I think you just had her.
So that's 20 years of friendship. I cannot believe it. I appreciate you. So
Same.
Yes.
Same,
but
girl.
I'll never forget how, you and I met, and immediately once you find out someone's from the Caribbean, it doesn't matter which island. You're like, listen.
You're locked in for life.
Yes, it's a special kind of a bond, right? And so for that, I can say I really, really appreciate you.
Same.
But I didn't realize, we were talking the other day, I know off camera, about how your migration story is different from mine, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that it's interesting in how I didn't realize this until later when you shared with me, hey, no, this is how it went for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
That is definitely what we're going to be talking about. And I think, too, if you were able to catch us in the first episode, we maybe told you a little bit of what made us Caribbean, right? But this time, we're going to continue to kind of go down that path of the conversation. But I feel like this is different for us because in our professional roles, we are extremely, some people might use the word private, right?
Yes.
But private is I don't know if that's the best word to describe us. It's more so that we put our clients first, right? So that's not the space for us to begin to talk about ourselves. And so I think this is why this has been such of a push for us to do this because this is different. This is vulnerable for us.
It is.
And so,
not to mention too, right? I think that there's sometimes, when people talk about immigrants or people migrating from other countries, they don't include the Caribbean,
No.
It's not a thing. They think that, hey, oh no, we're talking about other people, like, those people that may be from countries like Asia or, Africa. Or
we get forgotten.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But I wonder, is it that we get forgotten or we just, like you said, private, we may not really want to, you know what I mean, share. Or we don't want to, I guess, own up or be honest about how migrating to a whole new place, we have our challenges too.
True.
We do. And we don't always admit
that something is hard. And we will talk about that too.
Yes.
We will talk about that. But you're right. Yes. No, I think that's so true. So for us to be here talking about that migration and how we have come to be who we are today, I think is new.
Yeah, so, man. It's interesting. So you want to say your story first, or do you want me to go?
I guess I can start. So, where do I start? So my story, of course, with, I'm sure both of us, it begins with our parents, right? Yeah. And so my mother is a Bahamian, so born and raised Bahamian. And my father is an American, right? Born and raised in the United States. And my brothers and I were born in the United States, but raised in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So we, I would say, migrated or moved to the Bahamas when we were children, elementary school aged. And so my schooling, all Bahamas, all Bahamian schooling.
Okay.
Elementary, high school. And then at age 18, I moved back to the United States for college.
Okay.
And
came
at
by
that
yourself.
point,
Came back by yourself.
Well, yes, right. So of course my family took me to school, but came back by myself. Went from the Bahamas, the warm, sunny Bahamas, to Michigan. Michigan.
Girly.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Cold.
Seriously.
Girl, cold. Michigan.
Wow.
And then stayed in Michigan for 4 years.
Okay.
Went to grad school.
Okay.
That's how I came to Maryland to attend grad school, and I've been here ever since.
Wow.
But it's so interesting because when people ask, "Where are you from?" Even though I have not lived in the Bahamas consistently for some time now, I still say Bahamas. Like
I think you still should say it. It's your heritage, right?
I am from the Bahamas.
Correct.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what you live, right? You can't take away the lived experience, right?
No.
And I understand what you're saying because I left. I'll get into my story at some point, but I left. We were relocated here. Unbeknownst to us. It was totally something that us as children didn't know it was happening. Let me try to make sense of it for you. My mom and dad, it was lots of tension in the marriage. So my mom, we would travel every summer, by the way. So we just assumed that we were going on summer vacation as usual. And so it wasn't uncommon for us to visit family or friends, who lived on the mainland, right? And so for context, of course, the Virgin Islands you have, where I'm from, is the U.S. side. So you're able to travel freely, right? Which is a privilege. Not having to worry about, some of the other nuances and challenges that other islands may have, right? And so my mom just said that we're going to visit one of our cousins here. So we were like, okay, cool, And in the back of her mind, she knew what her plan was. She wanted to stay. She didn't share that with us. I'm sure she had her own reason. She probably didn't want us to feel anxious about it. She did say that she just wanted to see what it was like first here in Maryland. And so we assumed that we're here for summer, just for the summer, and we're going to go back. Until one day she said, "Oh, we're not going back."
Wow.
We said, "Say what?" She's like, "Yeah, no, we're staying." It's like, "Oh, okay."
Just like that,
right? And so it was like, I guess, right? To the point where she said, "No, I'm going back and I'm packing y'all stuff and I'm coming back. You guys going to stay right here with your cousin." I said, "Okay, so what are we to do?" Right? Caribbean kids, you stay in your lane. She did what she needed to do for survival. To protect her peace, right? And I think that it's really, really commendable that she was able to do this on her own. Three children.
Caribbean woman.
Woo-wee. Which we know we'll talk about in our next episode. But so she did it single. Did it on a whim. It wasn't like it was planned. And she thought that this was the best decision for her and for us. Of course, I'm on the inside screaming like, what do you mean?
Such a big change, too.
It's a huge adjustment, right? It's huge. And then not knowing beforehand, like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? But you do what you have to do, right? Because we know what it's like if you don't do what you're asked to do. You know what I mean? I mean, what can you do at that point?
At that age,
And I mean, again, I commend her for doing what she did. Obviously, she did something right because I'm here,
You're right here.
Right. But so we did that. And then going into school was hard for me. It was really hard. It was harder than I expected because here it is. I'm going into a new environment where everyone doesn't look like me. Right? And everyone may not understand the way that I'm speaking. My accent is so thick and I couldn't code switch like I'm able to do now. Even though some of my clients, they joke and they say I can still hear a little bit of the accent because it doesn't go away. At least for me, it doesn't. No. But anyway, we can talk about that too in another episode. But it was hard for me to try to communicate.
Yeah.
I was always a shy girl anyway when I was younger. Not so much now. But it was difficult because I got made fun of. When I would say things, like use words that I knew were, in my, it was the thing where they're like, huh? What are you talking about?
Why you sound like that?
Exactly. And I got the meanest questions. Oh, girl, it was so tough. They were like, where are you from? Did you swim here? Do you even have an airport? Do you wear grass skirts? Are you swinging from tree to...
Listen, I remember, actually, as you bring that up, when I moved so we were in New York before we moved back to the Bahamas. And so when I moved from New York to the Bahamas, I think I was in second grade, right? I remember one of the first questions that I got was, you talk funny. Why you sound like that?
Oh, my God.
And as a child, as you're bringing up right now, as a child, you don't know how to answer that.
Correct.
Because number one, you never even realized that you had a different way of speaking, right?
Correct.
So I had that going back home to the Bahamas. And then when I left the Bahamas at 18 to go to college, I got that again.
Wow.
But it was the other way. It was... You sound exotic. I will never forget. Somebody said, actually, I sounded exotic. I looked exotic as well.
Oh my gosh.
And I still don't know what that means.
Right.
I looked exotic, and immediately it was, you're black, but you're not Black American. Like you're not.
They pointed that out.
Immediately because of what I sounded like, what I looked like, I guess, and again, that's Michigan now. So I'm coming with a little tan because of the sun, So it was, for me, that migration story happened twice without ever pausing to actually process
right?
The fact that I, in a way, had to become a chameleon. Like you literally blend in with your surroundings so that one, you don't stick out because sticking out means that eyes are on you.
Correct.
Right? And that you're doing something either wrong or different.
Correct.
And so, and I remember even now, bless her heart, I knew what she was doing. I had a college advisor. She was prepping me for a big presentation.
Okay.
For my thesis in undergrad, and we were reviewing these my presentation over and over and over again, and she had me repeat. I was talking about like the Y and X axis, right? And so she would stop me and she would say, "Deandra, the word is axis. Say it with me. Axis."
Oh my goodness! How do you say it? Let me hear you say it in your accent.
Access.
Oh, so it sounds like you're saying
access and X access.
So it sounds like you're saying access.
So she would say, Deandra, you need to stop because you're saying access. The word is axis.
Now she knew your background, obviously.
She knew my background, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. And reflecting on it now as an adult, a seasoned adult, even though I was an adult, right? I was a young adult, but reflecting on it, I was like, that was when it started. As we started to, you mentioned code switching and blending in. And I was like, that's when it started. I started to feel like my authentic Caribbean identity had no space in a professional setting. And that in itself, we could stay on that topic forever, right? But I remember in that moment feeling like, okay, I have to adjust. I have to blend in if I want to succeed or thrive.
And it's not okay.
It's
not okay to feel like that.
Not.
But here's the thing for me, and I don't know if this is the case for you.
Yeah.
Back then, it was that. I think that we have some progression. We've had some.
Yes.
And I think now everyone is just happy to say they have a friend who's from the Caribbean or they visited the Caribbean, even though they think the only island in the Caribbean is Jamaica. We're going to get on that. But
we love y'all, but
I mean, come on, there's more to us, right? I mean, we're wonderful people. Yeah. There's more than just Jamaica. We love Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
That's a part of my story too. But anyway, so it made me feel like back then we were so far behind.
Yeah.
I was afraid to speak up. I was afraid to, you know what I mean? I didn't understand. I remember going going on the bus and we cook with certain spices. And if I smell like, correct, what is it that you eat? Or, I had a friend one time walked me home and my brother was at home playing music, reggae music. What is that you're listening to? But now, in this day and age, everybody wants to listen to reggae.
Everybody.
Sean Paul, right?
Well, Bob Marley.
Right,
Bob
that's what
Marley.
I'm saying. But everybody wants to talk about, I go to get the beef patties at Jamaican restaurant. So now you're okay.
Yeah,
but
now it's okay.
My little 13-year-old self.
Wasn't okay.
It wasn't okay, right? I had people come out. I remember one time we were sitting in the parking lot waiting for my mom. She was grocery shopping. And she parked next to a guy, mean gentleman, we didn't know him from anywhere, but because he heard us talking in our accents, he told us we need to go back where we're from. I said, what is, but we don't talk about these challenges climate. That we go through. We really don't. And again, as a people, like you said, maybe we are forgotten. They don't understand too that we have our own challenges, migrating to the U.S. I know for some family back in the islands, for, living in the U.S. is supposed to be glamorous and all these types of things. Yeah. But we do go through quite a bit.
We go through so much. And then, the other part, too, is that what's not discussed enough is, as I was talking about, that twofold migration, right? So both of us travel back home often, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so I don't know if this is the same for you, but I remember going back home and it'll be the comments of, you think he's American now? Because you sound a little American, or you look a little American. And it's like, wow, it's like it's literally like being in limbo. I remember my dissertation, my doctoral dissertation was on that topic.
Really?
Being in limbo and the psychological impact of being culturally kind of swimming in two spaces, because people don't talk enough about how that can impact someone's mental well-being. Oh my goodness,
that's a good topic.
Yeah, girl.
Did you find a lot?
So I did a qualitative study. It was a qualitative study. Okay. One day I hope to expand it into something more, but there, globalization has caused or influenced us as a I guess global or nationwide, we don't live in silo anymore. We're not isolated. Right. We are extremely involved with other countries. And so it is hard to prevent biculturalism, multiculturalism, because we are exposed to other cultures.
Correct.
And so why is this not a topic that we talk more about?
That's a thing, right? I think they assume that, it's not that big of a deal, or you're going to be okay, But, sometimes going home from school, my 13-year-old self, it was like, I don't want to be here anymore, right? And I remember telling my mom once, I want to go back. This isn't fun. People are making fun of me. I remember, though, God bless, I had a friend who was so welcoming in my middle school, and she knew that she got it because her parents were African, right? And so for her, culturally, it was like, don't mess with this Kaya. This is my friend. Leave her alone, kind of a thing. But it took me a while to warm up. It took me a while to adjust. It took me a while to understand that, okay, this is what my reality is going to be. I didn't want it to be because, it was something that we didn't know was going to even happen. But we did what we needed to do. And we came out the other side. But you're right. You kind of have to. For me, I know that it was a thing where I got tired of people saying I was talking too fast. They couldn't understand me. You know what I mean? You say a word, you pronounce it a different way. You accentuate this verb. It's just... And it's like, you know what? Let me just try to assimilate. Let me just try to help you so that you don't get on my nerves.
Absolutely.
Right?
And, and I think that's something that outside looking in, people don't know that that's the process, or that could be the process to code switching, right? People just assume that you're trying to be like everyone else,
but
or
that's not it.
Sometimes it's a safety thing, right? Sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? I just want to blend in. I don't want to stick out because I don't feel safe enough to stick out.
Correct.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that if the middle school young lady did not do that, did not say to you, hey, don't mess with this one, like you all had that shared experience, that you would have felt a little bit more comfortable in that space?
I think she helped for sure. Yeah. She helped for sure. It was one of those things where, she made me to realize that it's okay to be different.
Yes.
And you don't have to accept what people don't understand.
Yeah.
So it helped me to, again, adjust a little bit better.
Agreed.
I was grateful for her though, because then I switched schools. So here's the thing. Talk about migration stories, right? So we come up. So I have to adjust to I have to process this all over about, us moving and not being prepared mentally, right? So I go to school in Montgomery County, right? And, it's different there. The culture is different there versus Prince George's County, right? So we switch over. My next year, my high school years, we go to PG County, where I felt a little bit more comfortable because I was sitting in a different space where people do look like me, right?
Yeah.
And then the cultural piece too.
Yes.
There were lots of people from other parts, the Caribbean.
Yes.
So I felt more at home.
Agreed.
So I felt like, okay, I can do this. And it's okay if I slip up and talk in my accent. It's okay if, I make a joke about something because somebody's going to relate and be able to understand me. Right. So there were so many transitions for me that I don't think that people really understood, especially when I got to college. So I moved from middle school, all new, right, to being in the U.S. on the mainland. Then I go to a different high school. Then I get to college. So all of these transitions within 5 years.
I'm telling you, it's so much. It's so much.
Sometimes we don't accept that, hey, there could be some changes or impacts to why you operate the way that you do. Because people in college thought that I was a bit standoffish, and I was still trying to get used to being
trying to figure out who you are, girl.
Oh my gosh. I was like, woo, y'all give me some grace, please,
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where, I think that now that we're bringing this up, we don't talk enough about, I think we need to really take into consideration what happens when you do migrate, all of the things that can come along with that. Check in with your folks to really see if they're adjusting okay, if they're feeling well, because you don't have your support system sometimes here, right, either.
I don't remember who it was I was talking to, but it was a college student that was considering moving from home, from the Bahamas to, going off to school. And I remember sharing with their parent, actually, that traveling abroad or going off to school in another country is not as easy as it seems.
Right.
In our culture, that's almost like okay, you finished high school, and so now what you going to do?
What you do next.
What you going to do? You're going to go to school, right? Yeah. And so between Canada, the U.S., a lot of people go. Some people, take the UK route as well, but a lot of times Canada and the U.S. are those options. And so what a lot of parents don't always realize is that the academic aspect of traveling abroad is one thing.
Yeah.
But then there's the emotional aspect of having to leave your home. The comfort space that you have known for 18 years, you are now leaving.
Correct.
You are going into a culture that is not like your own.
Correct.
But you are being expected to grow up immediately.
Absolutely. And you're going to get through it. You're going to be fine, right?
Tough it up and let's move on. And a lot of times, parents don't quite consider that when they are thinking of their kids going off, and honestly the kids aren't considering it either, because they're like, oh, I get to go, I get to be on my own, but that's a whole nother element.
Oh my gosh, it is.
And so as you were talking about the young lady at middle school, that made me think of how important it is to have support systems.
Absolutely.
Right? And support systems at home, but support systems in your host country, right?
Correct.
Because I think for me, I figured that out late.
Okay.
In the game. When I was in college, I had a beautiful support in the in individuals that were in the community.
Okay.
My church family at the time when we were at college and all of that. And my parents made sure that we had that set up, right? And then I moved to Maryland and I had, some family members in Maryland. But then I was so focused on school that that became all I had.
Right.
And so then I had to be intentional about building support systems. So classmates that became friends that became right. But still, even now moving into a different level of my life with kids, right? I was literally just telling my husband this the other day, like my daughter had her K4, her pre-K Christmas program.
Oh, how cute.
Had her Christmas program. And I looked around and I said, oh, look at all the grandmothers and the aunties and the uncles.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah.
Go girl.
Yeah.
And even in that moment, being away from home for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
Even in that moment, you still long, right?
Absolutely.
For that like that still is part of that story of, wow, like my support system is still there.
Still back home, yeah.
So it's like you still have to build that where you are in order for you to be emotionally okay.
Right.
But again, nobody ever talks about it.
We don't talk about these things, because I think they figure, hey, you're going off to better. Right? You're going to be better. Essentially, that's going to be the end result.
Yeah, right.
But along the way, that journey is not always easy.
It's not.
You come home sometimes feeling like, why am I here? Right? I know that I'm supposed to be, improving in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
Or so they tell you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but people are mean, or this isn't comfortable. It's cold. I'm not used to
Girl,
this
it's
weather.
cold. We just said that outside.
Girl, it is cold. It is disrespectfully cold.
We just said that.
I was like, girl, it's cold. And as much as I always tell people, I've been here for 35 years.
Wow.
I am still not used to this weather. You know what I mean?
I don't think I'll ever get
used to it. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Again, I think that, migrating, it's not always easy.
No.
It's not always easy.
No.
We don't talk about how we feel sometimes because, of course, we got to stay strong and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do because we're coming to the land of opportunities. Right. And make our family proud. But for some people, that could be pressure.
And that's the other thing, too, that land of opportunities where, like, it's almost like you don't want to seem ungrateful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For having the opportunity to go to the land of opportunity,
better, right.
And so you don't say anything.
You don't,
because people, what you complaining for?
Exactly.
You and so and so,
exactly.
And so it's a very tough position sometimes to be in because on one side you feel like you don't have the right.
Right, to complain or say anything.
And miss and feel those kinds of feelings.
And see, that's not okay. Right. And then we're suppressing, right? And that doesn't help. But what about those folks that, they come and they find that it's too much of a challenge for them to tough it out and stay. Right. So they go back. Sometimes they get ridiculed for that, right?
That too.
We have to stop this.
True.
Right?
Child, if I had that opportunity,
exactly.
It's true.
But it's
and
the
it's
thing.
True.
It happens, it's on the individual level. And, if someone isn't comfortable, it's an adjustment.
It is an adjustment.
It's an adjustment. And we have to really identify and accept that this is a thing. And some people can be okay. And that's okay. And some people can't. It's fine either way.
And it's so true. And like, of course, because we are mental health professionals, right? Mm-hmm. As we're talking about this right now, this makes me think of the therapeutic technique narrative therapy, right? Where we focus so much on people telling their stories.
Right.
Can you imagine the profound impact that it would have on members of our Caribbean community if they had the right and the option to tell their story, their migration story,
That's a good point.
Or their just even if it's not migrating to another country, but migrating within the country,
absolutely.
Right? As you were talking about mainland versus, right? Yeah. For us, it would be maybe our, capital in terms of New Providence versus Family Island movement. I think a lot of people have a lot locked up in their stories. And the reason why we did this was because we felt like we needed to help to create the platform for people to feel vulnerable and to know that no, you're not alone.
No,
being Caribbean doesn't necessarily equate to having to be the strongest person in the room. And what does strong even mean, right?
Exactly.
But yeah. So
Girlie, we could go on and on. But I like that. I think it's good. I think that our listeners should really try to, if anything, nothing else that they take away from this is to think about what your migration story is, what it feels like, is it something that's still being written, right?
True.
Have you adjusted completely? True. Maybe you haven't, ask yourself these questions, and make sure that you have the support system that you need, right? You have to rebuild in some cases, a support system. So it's a thing.
It is.
Girl.
It is.
Can you believe we are out of time? But we have to do our
feature.
Our feature, yes. And so you're going to feature something.
Feature the thing. Hey, feature the thing out of feature.
That is too
Sorry,
funny.
That's what we just have to do, right? So
what we got?
Today, I would like to feature. We need a drum roll.
Oh gosh. That's pretty.
House of Assembly.
Okay, nice.
Now,
very nice.
Just so you all know, we are not sponsored. Okay, so we are doing this off of our own.
One day,
like
yes.
One day, yeah, we hope.
Yes,
but we're doing this off of our own dime, as well as our own joy for these materials.
For sure.
House of Assembly is a beautiful bag, candle, house, item line that is based in the Bahamas.
Okay.
Created, designed by a wonderful, talented young woman out of the Bahamas.
Okay.
And my husband happened, but I purchased the bag from House of Assembly, and if you notice, first of all, the detail of this bag is what caught my eye, but also the color. Sorry, it's a little mashed up because I'm not really good with taking care of bags. But I love this bag because it screamed culture to me.
Yeah.
And it screamed island, Bahamas.
For sure.
And honestly, you could spend money on a Coach, a Michael Kors, or what have you.
The quality looks good.
But this quality, this to me, I'm like, support your own.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you ever get a chance to, and you're looking for a very authentic Caribbean handbag, House of Assembly.
Are they? I'm sure they're online.
They're online. houseofassembly.com.
Yes.
And we're going to probably link the information.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm pointing down, sideways.
It's going to be linked somewhere.
We're going to link the information because, trust me, support. It's wonderful when you can put your face or a face to a business.
So that's so cool.
Definitely.
Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
We're done with the second episode. Can you believe it?
Girl.
We did it. Migration stories. Hello.
Whatever finger she's supposed to be doing.
It's the middle, I think.
It's the middle? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So we're going to tell our listeners, listen, thanks for tuning in. And of course, we welcome any feedback. You can always email us at cultureandclarity@gmail.com. You can find us on our socials. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You're going to get those links up, down. I don't know, like you were pointing somewhere.
All around.
And so we hope to see you in our next episode. Remember, we are still grounded in culture and we're growing in clarity.
Peace.